Hello, Tom Paladino. I just wanted to look over there and say, is it really recording? Because I had this rev.com, these live captions for the hearing impaired. So now everything's moved over. It's like, oh my God, where's my recording indicator? But there it be. So long time no talk to and no
A
see.
pleasure to be back here. Thank you for the invitation once again, Doctor.
Yes, and we at least I made some big changes going from channeling Erik to channeling Erik 2.0, kind of giving the reins partly to other people so I can work on AtlantaScalar.com, which was really inspired by you, although we do completely different things. I don't treat diseases and conditions, ailments like that, spiritual ailments, etc. But so I wanted you to bring us up to date on you, and also I want you to love for you to talk about the functions of scalar light.
Okay, all right. Well, my name is Tom Paladino. I am a scalar. And what does that mean? Well, I work with the force field. Some people call that chi or prana, 0 point energy. Some people say it's ether energy or the spirit of God. All of those terms are synonymous. So I am not working with electricity. I'm working with a different energy spectrum, and that's what's so promising. This is the energy spectrum that really enthralled people like Nikola Tesla.
Right.
Tesla saw that there was a second energy, which is scalar energy. And scalar energy is far superior to that of electromagnetic energy. So my preference is to work with scalar energy, this energy of the sun and the stars. And I've developed scalar energy instruments that can control and harness scalar energy. And I think this is going to present a new branch of physics to mankind. That electromagnetic theory, is much of it is correct and accurate, but there's another energy, scalar energy, which will eventually usher in a new branch of physics to address scalar energy research and scalar energy practice application. It's very exciting. I'm happy that I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's informational energy too. It carries information. And that's what I love about it. If I'm trying to help somebody in the UK, I have their name, I have their address, perhaps a photograph, and what? Okay, I'm doing my thing. His office was closed down because the manager had COVID, so he is underfoot.
I see.
Oh my God, it's so horrible. I'm used to working all alone, but he's lovely, but it's hard to have a husband underfoot.
It's been a tough pandemic.
Oh man.
It's been
but
tough
anyway,
on people.
but that's the beauty of it. You can help people all across the world. They don't have to be there. Whereas, like you say, the electromagnetic spectrum has its purposes, but it's so remote,
It is. And what are we getting at? Well, when you're working with scalar, it's everywhere. It's omnipresent. So it really is the spirit of God.
Right.
It's to be God. Now, I'm an individual, a human being, and I can only be present in one place at one time. Well, with scalar is everywhere all the time in any time dimension. So what am I getting at? We're entering into a dimension. Scalar energy is a dimension in which you transcend, you surpass, so to speak, time and space. You're no longer bound to time and space. Well, imagine that. Imagine how this will give us freedom to act accordingly. Now, you mentioned, Doctor, that you're working with people remotely. That's what scalar energy allows us to do. I work with people by way of a photograph. I'm going to hold up my photograph.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime
what a
I work with
handsome
people,
dude that is. Is that you? That's awesome.
I'm blushing. Anytime I work with people by way of their photograph. So this is the photographic force field. This is the energetic force field. I never work with people in person. I never work with animals. I work with photographs. So I'm entering into that dimension, that energetic dimension, in which, as Doctor pointed out, we can share information, and we can do so anywhere in the world. So imagine, this is going to be perhaps the energy medicine of the future by way of a photograph of a person.
Wow.
All of this is simple, safe, easy, You don't have to visit a clinic or a hospital. Not that I have anything against clinics or hospitals.
No.
But again, this is a new science. It's a new branch of physics. And eventually, I think it will spawn a new branch of medicine. But that's going to take years.
I agree. And, I'm already dabbling with it in, by trying to help a family member who has cancer with his photograph and, a card of intent. But, but that's not the main thrust of what I do, as we spoke before I started recording. Okay, so you mentioned time. How does time, surpassing the constraints of time, how does that work with scalar energy?
Well, what I found is with a scalar energy wave, it's an actual waveform. It's everywhere. So it's not in one specific time frame. Let's look at our country. We have the East Coast, we have the Central Time, Rocky Mountain Time, West Coast. Imagine a scalar wave that's in all 4 of those time zones.
Yeah.
Instantaneously.
You mean the same bit of wave, scalar wave, carrying that same information, say from a photographic energy field.
Yes.
It can be in, well, there is no time really, so that's kind of cool right there.
Yes.
Everything's happening right now, past, present, future. So it takes advantage of that. The fact that there is no time, no linear time.
That's correct. Everything is in the present time.
That blows my mind. Oh,
isn't that amazing?
God.
So no matter where you are in the universe, it's always the present moment. There is no past. All time is coalesced into the present.
Uh-oh, you're freezing on me. Uh-oh. I'm going to change. Hey, Tom, you froze. I'm going to change my Wi-Fi to a different Wi-Fi. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. I hope I don't lose you. If I do, I'll call you back. Uh-oh, there we go.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Returned.
Yeah, okay. I had to change. I just started to change my Wi-Fi. Okay, it's still recording. All right, good.
Okay, we'll continue. We were speaking about how time is transcended by scalar, meaning what? Well, a scalar wave is everywhere. Imagine an eternal, infinite scalar wave. That's what scalar energy is. Yeah. You cannot parameterize it. You cannot put it in a box, so to speak. There is no border. There is no boundary for scalar. It's an infinite dimension. So when we're working with scalar, we see that we supersede, we transcend time. Meaning what? There is no past, there is no future. And I was using the analogy of, imagine a scalar wave that covered the continental United States from East Coast to West Coast, so that there would be no time constraint. There would not be an East Coast time frame, a Central time frame, a Rocky Mountain time frame, and a West Coast time frame. To the contrary, those 4 time frames are one point, are one moment in time. And again, how does that apply to us? How's that going to help us? Well, regardless of where you are in the world, we can work with you remotely within that time zone, within that immediate time zone with a scalar energy instrument. So putting that into practice, I frequently work with people in Australia, Africa, Europe. Nobody has to visit my office in the United States. I can access those people immediately, instantaneously, regardless of their time zone. There is no impediment. Now, extrapolate a little bit. If I can do that with photographs of people, then eventually I should be able to send energy and power the world through this wireless means of power generation.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's probably been one of the biggest suppressed technologies ever.
Yes, yes.
So, and that's almost dangerous. It would take courage for you to even try to go there, you know?
Only by the will of God. And this is what Nikola Tesla had envisioned. Later in his life, Nikola Tesla had towers. He had scalar energy towers. And if you really look closely at those towers, there's no electrical wires anywhere around.
Yeah, the environmentalists started like that.
Of course they should. So what was Tesla onto? He was onto wireless transmission of energy. Yeah. But in this case, to power the world, he was going to power the world with his scalar energy towers.
Yeah.
So imagine the electrical grid is still a grid. You have to set up telephone poles, you have to set up substations, you have to set up power generators, you have to run conduit, electrical wires in your
You have
home.
to have satellites.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, all of that is obviated. All of that is obsolete with scalar energy,
Yeah.
because scalar energy can deliver a signal anywhere in the world without a substation, without electrical wiring, without a satellite, without a receiver, without a satellite dish, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the promise that we're looking at. Frankly, the electromagnetic technological field is going to go the way of the horse and buggy. Okay,
Yeah.
electromagnetic technology is going to be obsolete in the next 10 to 20 years.
Disruptive technology.
Yes.
You know, all the horse and buggy people were so upset. I mean, there's this picture that in this article about disruptive technology that showed, I think, the Macy's Day Parade or whatever, or during that period, all the streets were horse and buggy. There was one car. That was 19 something. And then 4 years later, the same street photographs, almost all cars, maybe two horse or buggies. So it's happening, people. But you know, there's the fossil fuel giants and all these people. They don't want that. They're not. They're going to fight tooth and nail, because you know you can't. Basically, who was it that said if you can't put a meter on it, it ain't happening? You know.
Yeah. JP Morgan made
Oh,
that
that's
statement.
what he said.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And there are nefarious forces out there. We won't get into that really, but there are groups out there that don't want this technology. Now, to the detriment of you and your family. Okay, what am I trying to do? What is Doctor trying to do? We're trying to create a better world.
Yeah.
Okay, and technology is one of the tools to bring about a better world. But this is suppressed technology, and it's suppressed because it's a new way of living. And this technology makes obsolete, in many ways, the military-industrial complex. And there's a great deal of a backlash because of that. Well, that will be overcome. People will see the merit of this new technology. But mark my word,
I hope
within
so.
in the next 10 to 20 years, you're going to see so many inventions, so many technologies that have been suppressed that come to the light of day, and with that, you're going to see a new way of living.
Yeah. And also, well, let's talk about this. You know how energy affects energy, and certainly anything can affect our energy, our chakra systems, etc. Can you compare the energy that we get from electromagnetic spectrum, microwaves, radio waves, all that kind of stuff, versus scalar energy and how it affects our bodies?
I think the easiest way to understand this, the sun and the stars are the storehouses, they are the point of origin of all energy in the universe. If you look at the universe, where is the light originating from? The sun and the stars. And all energy originates as scalar. And then therefrom, sometimes, many times, scalar energy will break down into electromagnetic energy.
Oh, I see.
So I believe that if you go to the center of our sun, you would find only scalar energy. And by the way, Doctor, that's my theory. That's why the sun never burns out. That's why the stars essentially never burn out. They have, exactly, there's a variation always. There's a cycle. I admit to that. But look at the stars of the universe. They never burn out. Even when there's a black hole, that's still energy.
Well, that's true. I mean, they just don't try to, I mean,
there's a cycle, but they always emit some type of energy, some type of light. So that is an eternal light. Why? Because scalar energy is eternal. What do I mean by that? Electricity experiences entropy. Electricity has a diminution of its signal. The signal will decay. The signal will degrade over the course of a distance. It's the inverse square law. And the bottom line is with scalar, there is no weakness of signal. The signal is always strong. It never, yes, it's an eternal signal. Scalar is an eternal signal. It's an eternal waveform. Now that in and of itself should really catch the attention of people. So we have infinite energy from the sun and the stars.
Right.
And with that, this energy never degrades. There's no radioactivity. There's no chemical reaction. It's non-physical, pure light. It's divine light from God. Well, to me, that's the game changer we've been waiting for. That presents a new way of living. That presents what I consider to be the era of peace that we're walking into.
Right. That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, so since it can affect our energy, how can we use it? Where do you see the new Scalar Energy department at MD Anderson? I mean, where do you see that in the future?
Let's visit one of your earlier statements that it carries information.
Right.
Voila, bravo. That's exactly what we want.
Yeah.
And if scalar energy can carry perfect information, then the body will receive that perfect information and we can correct
Yeah, and it never
depression.
distorts or degrades, so it's pure,
Yes.
just like from the point of origin.
Yes, exactly. It never degrades. So when we are imparting that perfect intelligence, those perfect instructions, it's going to create a perfect soul, mind, and body.
Yeah.
Now, if you consider our not only the physical body, but our spiritual body, our cognitive functions,
Yeah.
all of those receive instructions. And what are we saying? If we can impart scalar energy, a download of scalar energy, then we can perfect our soul, mind, and body.
Yeah.
That's the promise here. We can reprogram our soul, mind, and body with perfect energy, perfect intelligence, which is scalar intelligence.
Cool. So let's talk about, for example, the pandemic. I was wondering if this would ever be possible to be able to send scalar energy to every single COVID, virus,
Yes.
the RNA, and disrupt the RNA to
Yes.
kill it. Is
Yes.
that possible? I mean,
Yes, it is.
what
Yeah.
signal do you send then? I mean,
Yeah. Yes, it is. So again, I am working with people remotely by way of a photograph. This is my photograph. I never work in person. So people from around the world have been sending me photographs.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's from Europe or Africa or Latin America. And I'm able to send a signal intelligence by way of that photograph. And I will say that everybody who's been under our program is enjoying sound health during this pandemic.
Wow.
I am saying that not one person who's under our current session by way of their photograph, not one person has been rushed to the hospital with severe complications of COVID. I have my entire family and friends on this program.
Oh,
Some
wow.
people are in their 60s and 70s. Not one person under our program has been rushed to the hospital with severe complications of COVID.
That's awesome. Well, what energy? I mean, what information do you send the COVID?
But,
The COVID
again, since I'm
viral.
dealing with light, I keep everything within that dimension of light. So I use photographs of a germ. In this case, I use photographs of the COVID-19 virus.
Ah, okay.
And as such, when I use a photograph of the COVID-19 virus inside my instrument will look at that magnified photograph of the coronavirus and then send that information into the photograph, allowing for the COVID-19 virus to break apart. So a photograph of a germ instructs the instrument to break apart that germ.
Okay. Well, how do you give the information? Hey, you write a little letter. Hey, here you go. Break that virus, apart.
So,
What information?
so I would take a photograph of a person. Here's my
Right.
photograph, and I would place the photograph of COVID-19 right next to their photograph.
Okay. Right.
So the energy of COVID-19 will now be imparted into the photograph.
Okay.
Now remember, we're working all by way of this force field, this intelligence field. So the energy of COVID, so to speak, that molecular pattern is downloaded to the energy of the person.
Right.
The two combine.
Okay.
And when you have those two force fields or those two instructive fields intermingling or combining, then the instrument is designed to negate the molecular bonds and to disassemble the
Oh.
molecular bonds.
Well, what does that instruction look like?
So,
What are those instructions to disassemble?
it's a custom built instrument. I do use Tesla coils, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And this instrument controls the scalar energy spectrum. So as such, once I enter into that scalar energy spectrum, that dimension, I'm able to manipulate molecules, atoms. And I'm also able to manipulate viruses. So
Mm,
when I'm working in a scalar energy environment, I can break down, I can degrade, I can disassemble viruses, including COVID-19.
that's so
Now
cool.
I do all of that energetically by way of a photograph. I've never worked with a human being or an animal or a plant in my
Then you
life.
don't need any PPE, man.
Yes, exactly, because this is the clean environment. We're
Yeah.
working with light and we're working with photographs of people and animals and plants. So this is this new branch of physics that I speak about that the world is eventually going to embrace. This is the non-local universe. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm in one fixed location, doctor is one fixed location. But if you're in a scalar energy environment, you're everywhere. You're
Wow.
everywhere. You're no longer bound to one locality. You're infinitely dispersed throughout the universe. It's
Fascinating.
it's it's hard to fathom that, but it really is the Christ energy. So
Yeah.
first and foremost, I want to say that as a God-fearing person, as a Christian, I believe I am working with the Christ energy.
Yeah. Definitely. You're
I
working
believe this is
fine.
divine energy. It's
Yeah.
not electricity.
Well, that's what Eric said about you. What did he say? He said that you are he said you're part of Project Victory Earth, I think, and you're actually an Earth angel. So yeah, you do have a divine mission. I think maybe we both do.
I
So
do.
well, we certainly
Everybody
take it
does.
seriously.
Yeah. Everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just a thumbnail sketch, if you will, of what scalar energy can do. In
Yeah.
other words, every electromagnetic instrument on the planet, God bless this technology. Someday scalar energy will supersede all of that technology at pennies on the dollar and perform those work functions in a consummate fashion that you cannot achieve with electromagnetic energy. One of them again is the power generation that we're looking for. There will be no power plants in the future. We will
Oh,
not have coal or nuclear power plants. We will not have geothermal power plants. You won't need solar panels on your home or your office. All of our energy has already been created by the sun and the stars.
it's
The
amazing.
stars are the new power plant of the world, the stars.
Exactly. And so, the horse and buggy people, they were all upset. Oh my God, there's going to be a massive loss of jobs, the whip makers and the horse tenders and the horse breeders and all that. But really, then came the automobile, and you have people who make tires and people who get the rubber for the tires. And
Right,
there's
right.
so many jobs produced just because of that
Yes,
disruptive technology. And I can see Scalar
yes.
Energy doing the same, where you're like, okay, it's time for my chakra tune up. I'm going to go to the chakra tune up booth, the Scalar Energy, and align, spin correct, size control, size correct, balance my chakras.
Yes.
Or, that's just one example,
You're
and of
you're
course, medical ones
you're
too.
right. I agree with you. It's a technology that will supplant our existing power grid and our existing military industrial complex. And this new technology will again make obsolete so much of what we consider our modern day technology. And for what? To better our lifestyle. Now, what is technology? It's nothing short of a tool for mankind. It's nothing to be intimidated about.
No.
I fly in planes. A plane doesn't intimidate me. I'd rather fly than have to walk across the country.
Yeah, really.
Let's just be candid about it.
Yeah.
So we want to welcome new technology. It's going to enhance our lifestyle. That's the whole point of my lifelong career, to
Yeah.
improve the human condition. It's so
Oh,
cut and
wow.
dry.
Oh. Okay, so well, let's go on the other side. I hate to be the one who does this, but can scalar energy in the wrong hands do bad things?
Yes, it's a tool. It's energy, and energy can be used to help people, to glorify God, or energy can be used to hurt people. So there are some things I understand about this energy that I will not release to the general public. I think the time is coming that we will have a mature and a morally correct group of people that will be able to use this energy and use it appropriately, responsibly. That day is coming, and I'm sure that we're going to see this new way of thinking, this new way of living, and technology is one of the ways to usher in this era of peace, this era of enlightenment that I am looking forward to.
Yeah. Well, I have this dream to get a bunch of scalar machines, put it in some sort of climate controlled whatever, and have a picture that Erik can help me pick out that best represents the fear collective, and put some sort of intent to so that the fear, so that we slowly but surely and run it 24/7, man, just hundreds of these machines, so that we can slowly but surely change the fear collective into becoming a love collective, and changing our society from being, from using
Fear-based.
competition for survival of the fittest, but cooperation instead.
Yeah.
Instead of a contrast consciousness, polarity consciousness, a unity consciousness. And that's what my ultimate dream is.
Yeah, I concur with you. If we had cooperation and less competition, it'd be a different world.
Yeah.
And this is the world that scientists like Nikola Tesla, he envisioned that. You and I envision that. We just can't go on with this dog-eat-dog mentality.
We have to go
It doesn't
unity
work.
consciousness. We've got to raise the vibration of the world, and that's one thing that you and I are, and hopefully many others are going to try to do, is raise the vibration of the world by bringing in unity consciousness.
Yes, yeah. You consider there's 7.8 billion people in the world. If we were all working together, this would be paradise.
Wow. And
But we're not working together. As you said, we've polarized the world.
Yeah. That's why I would like to do this, the picture that best represents fear consciousness, and disrupt it, so that you don't have these, maybe less likely to have people that would take the scalar energy. That's why I was getting into that, and use it for nefarious reasons. So yeah.
So these are some of the musings that we have. This is the intent that we see with this new technology. Again, we're working with scalar energy, scalar technology. Some people call it 0-point energy or longitudinal waves. It's a vastly superior energy source than that of electricity. And we don't in any way want to deride the current state of affairs. We have a wonderful world. There's a great deal of technology in this world, but we always look to improve ourselves. And we look to scalar energy, this new and emerging technology, to, again, bring forth a better way of living, to improve our lifestyle, to improve the living condition around the world. So many applications with this energy.
Okay.
Scalar energy, so many applications. I foresee in the future that we will be using scalar energy for telecommunications. How many of you have ever had a cell phone call that's interrupted, or had some static on your TV or your radio? Well, keep in mind, a scalar wave cannot be interrupted. You cannot lose your signal when you're having a cell phone call by way of a scalar wave. There cannot be any interference on a TV show or on a radio signal. So scalar, I believe in the future, scalar will be used for telecommunications, and it will be the perfect telecommunication system. Now, one of the salient points about that is a scalar device is an inbuilt satellite. Let me repeat that. All scalar energy devices are satellites. So you don't need low Earth orbiting satellites.
Oh.
My instrument is in a fixed location, but it works like a satellite because I can send a signal anywhere in the world to a person. That signal never diminishes, it never degrades. So my instrument is not only a worldwide satellite, it's a galactic satellite. It's a universal satellite. So imagine, pennies on the dollar now. Instead of trying to triangulate a signal by way of cell phone towers and satellites, you don't need that anymore.
No.
A scalar energy instrument is a satellite, and this signal can be sent anywhere in the world. So again, pennies on the dollar. I much prefer to work with a scalar energy instrument as opposed to electromagnetic telecommunications.
Yeah, so Nikola Tesla, didn't he build a tower that powered all of Colorado Springs or something like that?
Yes. He was in Colorado Springs in 1899. He was able to create lightning bolts with his instrument. All lightning bolts initiate a scalar energy, so he was creating energy. He was creating scalar energy lightning bolts with his tower, with his scalar energy tower. And his work was so far advanced, people to this day don't quite grasp what he was doing. But in Colorado Springs in 1899, I have firm evidence that that was a scalar energy tower.
Yeah.
It exhibited scalar energy phenomenon. And he was able to illuminate light bulbs that were in the vicinity of his tower. He would just hold a light bulb in his hand
Yes.
or place it in the ground. He would bury a light bulb in the ground,
Oh,
and
wow.
the ground was scalarized, so to speak, and light bulbs would illuminate under the influence of this scalar environment in the ground. Now, all of that was done, again, not by way of electricity. There were no electrical wires. There was no electrical power station. All of that was by Tesla harnessing sun energy, star energy, and just simply redirecting that energy locally, at least in Colorado Springs. Had we have listened to Tesla, we
Oh,
could have saved ourselves so much suffering, so many tears could have been
oh,
spared had we listened to Tesla and followed his lead. Again, wars have been fought over oil,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
over
But not
precious
over
metal.
scalar energy.
Why? Because it's free. In other words, you've never seen anybody fight over sunlight or starlight. It's
No.
free. Okay,
Wow,
there is no monopoly on sunlight. Nobody
that
has a
is
monopoly on the
profound.
stars.
That is such a profound thought.
Yeah. So this is where we're going. We're going to end a lot of these wars, which are wars for money and power.
Yeah.
Many times we've gone to war, at least in part for oil, for gold. I look at what the Rothschilds have done to Africa and how
Oh
they've
gosh.
taken all the precious metals for themselves and they've left the African continent in a state of chaos because
Yeah.
they don't have the riches of the earth
Yeah.
to abet them. In other words, the powerful, the elite out
The
there is
global elite.
controlling this. The
Yeah.
global elite has made a monopoly.
Bilderberg complex, all that. Yes.
Yeah, these terrible, evil people,
Yeah.
they've created this unjust system.
Mm.
It's an economic system that is falling apart. It's not designed to prosper. It's designed to control and to monopolize our resources, to monopolize ideas. We see that playing out every day. Well, what is scalar energy? It's free energy. Nobody can monopolize star power.
Of course, they'll
There's
still want diamonds from African gold and all that stuff, and there'll still be the evil suppressing and hurting the masses because there are other things other than scalar energy. Unless we can use scalar energy to make unlimited amounts of gold. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
That'd
that would be an aspiration that I would have. But what's the point here? To get back on point, let's embrace this technology.
Yes.
I have developed scalar energy instruments that can easily break down the molecular bonds of viruses, bacteria, parasites, protozoan. So I have discovered the easy way to eradicate, to remove from people, animals, even plants, germs, pathogens. Now, if I can do that as one person, imagine if we had 10,000 people researching with scalar energy. Imagine if we had a concerted effort here, a
Yes.
cooperative effort. And let's stop competing against one another. Let's start helping one another.
One thing I would like to do, and I'm got a picture of it. The Texas oaks here are just being destroyed by the Oak Wilt Virus, which is carried to it via a beetle, the Untitled beetle. And it's just ravaging these gorgeous oaks. And so I'm trying to put a photograph of one of those, and just to find out if I can do this and have the intent of ridding the Untitled beetle and the oak of the fungus.
Send me the photograph of the trees. Let's experiment because I'm doing such work in Hawaii. There's a tree in Hawaii called the ohia tree.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've had good success in destroying the fungus that's infecting the ohia tree in Hawaii. And again, I don't live in Hawaii. I just have photographs of the trees in Hawaii. So
what do you do?
it's working in Hawaii.
what would you do with the oak wilt fungus? Would you need a
I,
photograph
I,
of oak wilt fungus? Because I've done
That's all I need. That's
that.
all I need. I need a photograph of the fungus that's infecting the tree, the plant pathogen, and all I need is the photographs of the trees. So I would take a photograph of the trees,
Mm.
side by side, I'd place the photograph of the fungus,
Uh-huh.
and those two informational fields then share.
Wow.
Okay, it's informational sharing.
You need
And
this. Oh, sorry.
in so doing, we could break apart and eradicate the fungus that's infecting any tree.
Wow. I don't know if do you need like an electron microscopic kind
No,
of fungus?
no, I have those photographs. I have those photographs.
Oh, okay.
I have a gigantic library of 400,
Oh my
500,000
gosh. I mean, it would
photographs.
be just so beautiful. Plus, again, if you and I were able to do that, that would just be another thing that brings scalar energy into the positive light, into the masses. So doing this, not only just curing somebody or helping somebody with HIV or blah, 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 but really bringing it on a massive level, healing a huge acres and acres of oak trees. It's something to put in the media.
We've already worked with over 1 million ohia trees in Hawaii, and I know we're in some way we're preventing this blight from spreading. It's a fungus, and in so doing, many of the trees, it's impairing their vascular system, and the trees can't deliver nutrients, and it's killing off many of the ohia trees. So, this is the easy way to do it, people? This is the simple, consummate way. This is technology in action, and I hope the world will resonate with this and join us.
Let's do that, and I swear to God, I can get us on the media, national media.
Let's do it. Send me the trees that are impaired. Send me those photographs. I will treat the trees by way of their photograph, and then we'll do a follow-up later next year, and let's see how the trees fare, and you can report that to your audience.
Yeah, and to the media.
Yeah.
Some media contacts that would be really interested in that whole thing. So anyway, what I'm saying is that to get Scalar, to get the public to be aware of this technology so that we fight against the suppression, that is going to be one of the biggest challenges and the biggest goals.
Yeah, and we will overcome. The truth always is supreme, and the truth is
on our side. The divine is on our side.
You're right. You're right. And people eventually they see the merit of anything, any gift like this. This is a gift from God. Let's just be blunt about it. And the people will resonate with that. And in so doing, we will change the world. We need you to participate. If you're watching this video, share it with your friends.
Please.
If I may, Doctor, my website is scalarlight.com. Scalarlight.com. Visit the website. You will see a great deal of research, many testimonies attesting to the fact that this is real, that we can work with people or animals by way of their photograph. A photograph allows us to capture their energetic force field and make a favorable impression upon that energetic force field.
Yeah.
This is not medicine. I don't claim to be a physician or a nurse. I'm a scalar energy researcher, and I work only in the non-physical dimension of scalar energy, which is a new branch of physics.
Exactly. And I have benefited by your programs, and my son Lucas has too. And also I've had a lot of blog members that I've sent your way that have come back to say, wow, it's real. This stuff is real.
It is real. It is real. We could go back 200 years and we could theorize about electricity and about satellites and planes. Well, there were no planes and satellites 200 years ago, but here we are today, and that's part of our everyday life. What am I saying? Scalar energy is new. And yes, we're ahead of our times. And yes, we need time to inculcate these concepts. But people will eventually embrace this, and they will see that this star energy offers such prospect for mankind, such a promise to improve our welfare.
Offer a lot too. I would like you to share some of the programs that you offer people that can bring them to help them become whole.
Okay, I'm going to encourage people to visit the website scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. you look at the website at the very top, anybody in the world can sign up for 15 days of free session.
That's amazing. I mean, you obviously know that this stuff is real if you're offering it for free for 15 days. I mean, come on.
Yes.
What
To
have you done for
anybody,
these people?
to anybody in the world. And on any given day, doctor, we receive 1,000, 2,000 photographs from around the world.
Oh,
Because people realize that there is energy healing.
yeah.
And you can do that by way of a photograph. So if you visit the website, all you have to do is email us your photograph. Just take a photograph of your face, email us your photograph. We work with people by way of their emailed photograph. There are no physical sessions, in-person sessions. Now, if you sign up for that 15-day session, we do three things. We perform what we call a pathogenic cleanse or a germ cleanse. We're able to break down viruses, bacteria, fungi, all done remotely by way of a photograph. We're able to balance your meridians or your 7 chakras. And then the third modality, we create vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, amino acids, etc. Now we do all of that by way of your photograph. And that's our free 15-day trial. And again, people from around the world participate in that free 15-day trial because they want to test it. And I don't blame them. This is new, that's different. So we graciously give away the free 15-day trial. And many people become believers after experiencing this. So I would say invariably the greater majority of people who try the 15-day trial feel better. Their
Yes,
health
I know I did. But, and I bought other of your services after that. So when you talk about the minerals and nutrients, it's like you don't have to go to Walgreens to get your senior Centrum Senior 55. You can actually take molecules and create.
Yes, I'll speak for myself. First and foremost, food is medicine. So I have a very good diet. I do not eat junk food, period.
Good.
I eat well.
Me neither.
And I encourage everybody to eat very well. But I supplement by way of scalar light. Now, what do I mean? These instruments are designed to assemble nutrients. So we can assemble a vitamin. We can create a vitamin. We can create an amino acid. We do all of that by way of instructions, as you mentioned, doctor. So scalar instructions can assemble micronutrients.
Wow.
And we do all of that in the energetic force field. Okay, there is no physical treatment. Everything we're doing is non-physical with light.
Right. So what you're saying is you will go into the scalar light, will take things like phosphorus, nitrogen, etc., in your body, and with the instructions, assemble them into whatever amino acids, nutrients, etc. Right?
Yeah. So thanks you. That's well stated. So everybody has inside their body elements: phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, calcium, and we just rearrange those atoms. And when you rearrange those atoms, you have an amino acid, or you have an antioxidant, or you have a phytochemical.
Yeah.
So we're taking the existing elements in your body and just structuring them into some type of molecular formula.
Yeah.
And that molecular formula could be a fatty acid, an amino acid, etc.
All right. So what about my my relative who has liposarcoma and rhabdomyosarcoma? I mean, you know, what do you do with things like that? Can you send a message to that cancer to disassemble its DNA?
I can't. I've not mastered cancer.
Yeah, neither have I.
I wish I understood it.
You know, I'm wondering if in some cases people have spiritual contracts that they have agreed to incarnate and learn lessons from having cancer, whether it's learning humility, having to be taken care of by another person, and so on. So that might be one thing that makes it difficult, unless you somehow revoke spiritual contracts.
Do I believe that the day is coming that we will be able to cure cancer? Yes, and probably doing so energetically by correcting the base pairs, by correcting the mutation. And I think the easiest way to do that is with light instructions, specifically scalar light instructions, not necessarily with a chemical, not necessarily with a drug.
Yes.
Because drugs and chemicals do not have the ability to reprogram our genome.
Yeah.
They don't.
No.
They might correct an abnormal disease pattern, but it's not instructive energy. Those drugs, those pills are not instructive. They're not the creative intelligence of our genome. Scalar energy is the creative intelligence of our genome. So if we're going to recreate a human cell that's mutating, you need the proper instruction, which is scalar. It's not a drug.
Absolutely. And imagine the day where you'd be able to correct the gene responsible for cystic fibrosis, for example.
Yeah.
Instead of the gene splicing that's going on now, which I think is supposed to be very successful. It's just, and you know, it's just mind blowing. The possibilities.
It is.
Are
It's
just
mind-blowing.
infinite. Oh my God.
Well, why? Because the entire universe is predicated upon instructions. If you look at everything, there's an intelligence. Call it instructions, intelligence, logos, the mind of God. Everything in the universe is ordered. Everything in the universe has instructions. And what am I saying? What is Doctor saying? Those instructions are scalar instructions.
Yeah.
Everything that gives rise to the universe, it's all scalar energy instructions.
Yeah, and it's also awesome that there's so much math involved in the universe. That's the language of the universe, and the sacred geometry, and it's the order of the sacred geometry. I've been watching Gaia. It's amazing. This Matthias De Stefano talks about not scalar energy, but about the sacred the geometry, the order, the patterns, the math. And I think it's interesting that scalar, the energy is helical and informational, and DNA is also helical.
Yes.
So I don't know if there's a relation. If there's a
No, you hit the nail on the head once again. And you've been studying. Good for you. You're quite a student. I'm impressed, Doctor. A scalar wave is to proportion exactly that of DNA. So a scalar wave is really the creative essence of our DNA. If you go side by side with a scalar wave to our human genome, our human DNA, it's identical. Proportion and scale, identical. So a scalar wave, which is a double helix, very good, creates our DNA, which is a double helix.
And
What
both
is our DNA? Yes, they're both information system. What is our DNA? It's a scalar wave. It's a standing double helix scalar wave.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That vibrates at a lower frequency so that it can be in the visible.
So finally, we have to ask ourselves, DNA, all organisms have DNA or RNA, and what gives rise to this and what maintains it?
Yeah.
Ever think of that? Consider that. We if you really
now.
look at the complication here, look how involved and how intricate DNA is, not only with people, but with animals, with plants. And you say to yourself, where are they getting the instructions from? Where are those instructions? What instructs, what creates DNA, what maintains it? It's star energy. It's God's energy. That's why the stars have to be infinite, eternal. If we ever ran out of star energy, we would no longer have DNA. We would all collapse.
Wow.
Without those instructions, we would not be alive. So the hand of God creates the stars. Stars impart scalar energy, and scalar energy is responsible for our DNA, for our life processes. So really, this is a spiritual process. It's from God.
What is dark energy? Is that, or does that have to do with?
It depends who you ask. That term, it begs a definition. Some people say dark energy, it cannot be seen, it's invisible. Some people are referring to scalar energy as dark energy simply because it cannot be measured. Now that's one of the points I want to make. Dark energy, this backdrop of the universe, it's star energy. We haven't been able to measure it. We don't quite understand that star power, but it's everywhere. And a lot of people, they would call it sometimes 0-point energy or the hand of God or the prana of the universe. It's not electricity. It's not electromagnetic energy. You cannot put electromagnetic meter to this energy.
But somebody said that there's in 1 cubic centimeter of space, there's so much energy in that.
And the physicists have found that even at absolute zero, At absolute zero, where you have no molecular activity, they still see that there's some type of energy coming from a body of mass at absolute zero. And so
Wow.
many scientists are now considering that there's something else besides electromagnetic energy that's powering that mass. And it's scalar,
Of
because
course.
scalar cannot, you cannot stop a scalar wave even at absolute zero.
No.
And here's another indication of scalar energy in the universe. Many of our pulsing stars or quasars, a lot of people say that's some type of a quantum field, or that's some type of a plasma field.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's true and accurate. There are plasma fields, and those plasma fields are scalar energy force fields.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and many scientists, it's almost to the point that they're baffled because it doesn't behave like electricity.
Hmm.
It's not electricity.
Dummies, get with the program. All right, so,
It,
so
it's
some people
it's so
say,
cut and dry. It's so
I
simple.
know, but
Why?
that's
Because a lot of
the
these
problem.
stars have.
It's too simple. People can't
I know it is.
imagine.
I know
It
it
has
is.
to be complicated for people to believe it sometimes. But so a lot of people say everything is light. Everything. Even Einstein would say matter is frozen light. Are they referring to scalar energy as
Yeah.
the
In
light?
many cases, yes.
I think
Now,
light, scalar
if
energy is everything. If it also creates electromagnetic energy, and it
many
can also create
scientists,
our own DNA.
many many scientists are now looking at stellar activity, solar activity, and they're saying to themselves, it cannot be thermonuclear explosions or reactions that are giving the sun and the star powers. It doesn't make sense. You know, the number of neutrinos that are released are just a fraction of what would be released if they were thermonuclear explosions or interactions. So there's something else that's giving the sun and the stars energy. It's scalar energy, scalar light. It's not electricity. It's not magnetism. All energy initiates as scalar energy at the center of our stars. And this is why many astrophysicists now, they have the ability to look at a star's stellar activity, and they say, well, that's a plasma field, and that's outside of our range of understanding because it does not appear to abide by any electromagnetic principle.
Right.
And they're right. It's not electromagnetic energy, hence it does not abide by electromagnetic theory. It's scalar. It's
Right.
scalar energy.
And scalar energy is also the energy of our thoughts, and thoughts create reality. So I'm thinking that this, the conscious observer, right, can create reality because what happens is observation, i.e. thought, i.e. scalar energy, collapses the Schrodinger wave equation to change a wave into a particle. So hence particle, that's building blocks of reality.
Yeah. And this gives the notion to people, think good thoughts, try and be virtuous, try and
Yes.
be positive. I know it's a tough world out there, but your thoughts are scalar waves. When you think, you're broadcasting scalar energy, scalar light. And frankly, we create the world that we think about. Okay?
Yeah.
We are responsible in many ways for our world. Now, yes, there's other extenuating circumstances, but you could either be happy or you could be sad.
Yeah.
Be happy. Think good thoughts, virtuous thoughts, think positive thoughts. I know this is a tough world. I'll be the first to admit to that.
Yeah.
But we create the world with our thoughts. And
Yeah. Make
remember,
it less sucky.
our thoughts are scalar instructions.
Yes.
So make those scalar instructions count.
Oh gosh, you are so right. And also Reiki, understand the energy that comes from like a Reiki healer is also scalar energy.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, so think good thoughts, like Abraham Lincoln said. People are just as happy as they've made up their mind to be. Well, make up your mind to be happy.
Yep, you're right.
Put out
You make
happy
it or break
thoughts
it.
every
Exactly.
day. Happy thoughts toward this hurting world, this hurting humanity, so that it won't hurt so much and for so long.
Yeah. Bravo to that. Bravo to that. And I know your audience resonates with our thoughts. And again, I thank you for allowing me to speak again on your
Oh my
channel.
God, thank you. We need to do more. So y'all check him out, scalarlight.com. And I'll put it, of course, right here with his information, and do the 15-day trial. I don't know how you have room in your place to put all those photographs. Ooh, and
It keeps me busy.
yeah, and share this with everybody you can, because that is the key to stop this from being so suppressed. So
Yeah.
you can either be a part of it or you can move out of the way. Well, be a part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. Why not? Let's make it a better world.
Yes.
It's free energy, people. Remember, someday this is going to change the world because you don't have to drill for this. You
Right.
don't have to place satellites, low Earth orbiting satellites.
You don't have to
It's
kill other
simple.
people in other countries. You don't have
It's
to, you know.
right. It's pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. So
It's star energy. Nobody has a monopoly on the stars.
right. So y'all, it's up to you whether to be a part of this mission to bring scalar light to the, I don't know why I keep saying scalar, because you know I'm always afraid people are going to spell it with an ER, but scalar energy into the world. Please be a part of this. Go visit Tom at scalarlight.com and you know, try his 15-day trial. You'll want more, and like I did. So yeah, that sounds great. Tom, anything else you want to share before we close?
No, I wish everybody to safety during this pandemic. For those of you, whatever faith, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas coming up on the Christmas season, Happy New Year. We hope for a prosperous and happy and healthful, vibrant 2021.
Okay, sounds great. And we will talk later.
Thank you.
You bet. Love you.
God bless. Love you too. God bless
Bye.
everybody.